out there in SIGT land and the rest of YouTube. Today I'm going to be reviewing this trigger right here, Tac Con trigger. Now, what they are claiming is, if you look here, we've got safe, fire, and looks like to me the danger zone. But no, it is still under ATF ruling a single pull trigger. So you can't just hold it down and it fire. So there I held it. I'm holding it down and it still rocks back and wants to fire. Or wants to click back and not fire. You still gotta let go and pull. So what I think is happening here is and this is just what I'm going to call the first stage, and this other selection is going to be the second stage, and then you got safety, of course. But what I think is happening here is on the first stage, it feels like a nice long pull. You know, it still links back and you know, does exactly the same thing as any other trigger would do. It's not super long. It's still a good modified trigger. So I'd have to say the first stage still feels pretty good, you know, like a good machine trigger. We go to the second stage here, roll it all the way back. A little lever pops up. And I don't know if you can see that, but when I do that, this little lever pops up. And when you hold the trigger back, it actually pushes the trigger forward in your hand and makes it a really short, light pull. I don't have a scale here, so I don't know exactly what poundage that pull is, but you know, it's this very short, light pull. So I can see how they're kind of claiming that you can do this rapid fire. Now we're going to take it out to the range and test it. It was given to me on this lower, so I'm just going to slap my upper on this lower and let it roll. And then I might take it out a little bit later and then put it in my MPX and see how it does on a 9mm. So here we go. All right, out here on the range with the Tac Con trigger. This is just my upper I built for myself. And we're going to give it a whirl and see how it does. So let's load up a mag. I'm going to try the first stage, that first fire stage, and then I'm going to switch it over to the lesser trigger pull, and let's see if we can rattle off some rounds. Alright, that was pretty standard, pretty good trigger pull on that Tac Con. Let's see how we do on this other one now. Like I said, I've never tried this before, so I don't know what to expect, and you know, we're gonna see. Yeah, it's still a straight trigger puller. I was told to do this lightly, so we can see how fast we can get it. I'm gonna kind of rattle it with my finger a little. It's actually pretty sweet. You can rattle them off pretty quickly with that lighter trigger pull. I'm going to go back down to stage 1 and do the exact same thing and see exactly how fast I can pull them off with that. I'd have to say between stage 1 and stage 2, I don't see a whole hell of a much of a difference. Maybe on the video, it might look a little bit different. I'm going to grab another mag and let's try it again. Okay, I'm back with a new mag. Let's try that stage 3 again, or stage 2 again. That's that lighter, super lighter trigger pull. Click it all the way over. Rattles them off pretty quickly. You got to get into a groove though. I'd have to say that's pretty damn quick. I'm gonna have to try this on the MPX. Okay, third mag. We're heating up pretty good. I'm rattling the shit out of my targets down there. Alright, back to safe. Go to 3. Pretty sweet. I haven't really tried any of the Timony triggers or anything like that, so I can't compare it to those. I'd have to say on its own, you know, it's pretty good over the standard trigger or even the modified trigger. I don't know, put off a couple more rounds here and we'll see. Pretty sweet. I might have to get myself one of these. All right, I'm going to chop my head off here a little bit, and we're going to take the Tac Con trigger out of this firearm and put it into my MPX and see if it works. So because it's a whole safety trigger type mix assembly, we're going to have to take apart the whole gun here. Well, not the whole gun, but I'll take apart this handguard here so we can get the detent out on that trigger, on the safety spring, and hopefully that'll slip right out. And then we can pop our pins and the rest of the trigger should come out. So here's that. There's our spring fell out. And making sure our nut's still in there. Let's see if we can get our detent out. Got this oiled up pretty good. Alright, it looks like we are going to actually have to pop the pins on this before we do that. So, grab my punch here. Get up and grab a hammer. Of course. Alright, pop our pins. Right, that's free. That's free. And oh, there goes our safety. I can push that down a little bit, but I can't take it out. Why won't you come out? Alright, it looks like that's being held up by something. Okay, our detent pin came out. And what are you being held up by? Wow, that sucker's tight in there. All right, let's see if we can just take the whole shebang out here. See, it doesn't want to rock in. Let's see if we can fire it. All right, fired position. It looks like it's all in one unit. Ah, there we go. So in the fired position, it looks like it's all going to come out now. All right. And there she is. She's free and clear. You can see they got their Tac Con right on there. So looks like it's an all-in-one unit, which is pretty nice. And that's that secondary lever that allows it to go into that tighter position. Let's see if we can. So what would happen is on the safety selector, as it rolls around, and then the first will let it just fire normally, and the second selection will actually raise this up, and that changes that trigger position ever so slightly. So that's our Tac Con trigger. I'm going to put this to the side, and I'm going to grab my MPX and see exactly how it goes into that. I haven't had the trigger out of my MPX yet, so we are going to see how that works. All right, I'll be back. So here we are with my MPX lower, Sig Sauer, and I'm going to take apart the trigger on this MPX. From what I've seen from other videos, the AR trigger and the MPX trigger should be the same. I had my spare D13 battery for my aim point in my handle, just in case. Actually, this is a 2, I don't know, this is the Energizer version, the 2L76 for the aim point. So we're going to see exactly how the SIG trigger is. It looks like I'm going to need a little bit smaller wrench for that Allen. Should be hopefully a very similar design as the AR trigger. I can already see I've got 2 springs mounted to the handle, because you don't have that big castle nut on the back of the AR like you do on this MPX. So it looks like they took the back push pin, the back detent and the safety detent, and attached them both into the same system here with this trigger. So I'm going to pull that out. We're going to save that and see. Let's see, there should be another small Allen key on the back side of this. Okay, I was thinking it was an Allen key, but really it is a push pin. So click that down so I can go into safe mode, and I'm going to do some pounding here and see if we can get this out. Take our punch. And we're going to do this upside down. Come on, punch, come out of there. All right. So our ambidextrous safety is now out, or off. We'll keep these parts separate over here so we don't mix them up with our friend's parts. And now we should be able to pull the trigger out. Another 2 push pins here. Actually, I'm going to tip this camera down so you can kind of see a little bit more what I'm working on. So I got that ambidextrous safety off, as you can see there. It's now gone. Here's our lever, and we are now going to punch the hammer pin out. pin comes out. There's our hammer with our spring, and now the trigger pin. The trigger pin just pops. Slides right out because we don't have any spring holding it in place. And now our whole trigger assembly comes out. Now, SIG's got this little protector thing here, and they say if you shoot it without that protector thing, you avoid their warranty. So I'm going to mess with that. I see the goop on my trigger here. Alright, so that is all out. Now we can slide our trigger out, and that's out too now. Now we can start putting in our Tac Con trigger. Alright, so we've got our 3-position lever here. I'm going to slide that bad motor scooter in there and slide our Tac Con trigger in. Okay, I think I have to fire this. Okay, so it's in the fired position. Slide it under our safety. And of course that's not going to want to go. See if we get the trigger shoe in first. This way we can put a little pressure on it. See if we can get that sucker to slide in. And we can get it in like so, but I don't think we can get our... Oh, there we go. All right. So I had to pull the... No, I'm not being very good on my videoing skills here, but I actually had to pull the safety out to allow the trigger to drop in, and then I can slide the safety back in. Alright, so now we're going to cock the unit because it's an all-in-one. This makes life a lot easier. We'll cock the unit, and we'll line up our holes for our push pins, and we'll just push them right back in. See if I can get that hole line back up. Alright, I'm going to make sure our holes line back up. Alright, that one's in. Line up our hole. Being a little bit more... Alright, we got that one in. Now all we have to do is put our detents back in. One for our safety. Detent for safety. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the wrong detent. That's not our safety detent. This is our push pin detent. I'm going to need to put the push pin back in. Alright, so push pin. Okay, push pin lining up the bottom of our push pin with that. Now we can put our push pin detent back in, which is this guy, making sure our round side is back in place. They're both kind of rounded, but one's a little bit more worn. I'm going to roll that push pin so it falls into the position. Alright, now we've got that there. Now I can put my push pin detent spring back in. Now I'm going to put my safety detent back in. And with the handle comes the safety detent spring. Just slide that back on, make sure we don't crush our springs funky. And grab our Allen head, line up our screw, and a few twists. All right, nice long-winded screw there. And now we should have our 3-position Tac Con trigger in our MPX. Bam. That wasn't too bad. Pretty easy. Feels like it's working pretty good. All right, we're going to close our door. And now we get to go back to the range. All right, we'll see you out the range. All right, we are back out here at the range. The Tac Con trigger installed into the SIG MPX. I finally got my reloads worked out on this, so this thing should run smooth as silk. Let's just hope it does it for the video. All right, insert our mag, charge it. We're going to do stage 1, which is a regular fire stage at first. Let me turn my red dot up a little. Feels pretty good, even in the stage 1. All right, now we're going to try that stage 2. Oh, had a jam. Sure that's down all the way. That's a mag. So see, we do another mag now. I'm gonna grab one. All right, we got our second mag. Go back on safe. One thing I noticed, I'm noticing on the MPX now, and maybe I just didn't notice it on the AR-15, was the trigger's actually now kicking my finger back up. Maybe I'm just getting a little bit more better feel from it. So we're gonna rattle off a full 30 now. Let's just see how it does. Hey, it's stage 2. Well, that seemed pretty quick. All right, let's try another mag. Now, I just got back from the Knob Creek machine gun shoot, so I was listening to machine guns all day long for an entire day. So I can tell just by the way it sounds that, of course, you're not getting machine gun, status off of this trigger. You're just getting a quicker trigger. So, I'd say I have to say it's, in between your fastest trigger pull and a machine gun. I'm gonna pick out some different targets. I love my MPX. All right, 3 more rounds. That's actually pretty sweet. The only thing that's unsweet about this is the fact that I just burnt through 90 rounds. A lot of fun, a lot of ammo. But we're laying down some steel down there. One last mag to do. All right, last mag through the MPX. Didn't have any hiccups on the last 2 mags, so hopefully this one will run pretty smooth too. Just gonna have a little bit of fun. Let's see. That's pretty sweet. There's a sharp little sting on my trigger finger now because that trigger on that stage 2 is kicking. It's kicking that trigger back. All right, so last mag, burnt through 120 rounds like nothing. All right, so just got done shooting the MPX with the Tac Con trigger, and I think a trigger with that drop down rate is going to give you that drop down poundage in that trigger is going to give you just about as much as this. Like that sharp drawback kind of reset, slapping my finger is kind of stings a little bit, but it's not too terribly bad. The Tac Con trigger, I'd have to say it's pretty neat, pretty fun. I can still stay on target because I'm still using my trigger finger to activate that, and as long as you get into that groove, it allows you to get into that groove a little bit easier, a little bit faster, and you can rattle off them rounds pretty quick, as you can see. Would I have liked it to have been faster? Maybe. It dropped into my MPX, works on an AR-15. I'm not going to try it on a 308 because my 308's a long-range gun. So I really don't need to rattle off that many rounds that fast out of that 308. But I'm sure it would work in that too, because the 308 AR-10 is pretty much the same trigger pack as this, just a little bit different push pins and some other miscellaneous stuff. But I'm pretty sure it'd work in that. So MPX AR-15 improved. Tac Con trigger, pretty nifty little thing if you got $300 to spend. This is Randy with SIGT signing out. Do you or your friends have way too much money and way too much ammo? Well, I have got a product for you. It's the Tac Con trigger. And now you can turn your semi-automatic rifle into a semi-automatic rifle that fires even faster. Ask me how.
Well, how do I do that?
So you've asked. Now, how do I do it? You basically buy the $300 Tac Con trigger. You install it into your rifle, and now your rifle shoots semi-automatically a lot faster for the low cost of only $300.
Did you say $300?
That's right, $300. So, here we are at the range. We want to shoot. We have a ton of ammo. We've got a ton of money burning a hole into our pocket. We install our Tac Con trigger. Watch what it can do for you. Look at that ammo stream out of the gun. You could almost feel the money flying out of your pocket. So don't walk, but run to your local gun store and buy your Tac Con trigger today.